Welcome back. The doctor is in. Today, I'm going to be talking about writing Historical Turning Points Tortuga for BattleTech. This was one of the PDF product lines that I wrote quite a few entries in. Previously, I talked about writing Historical Turning Points and Talos, which was the first of the pirate-centric HTPs that I wrote. This is let's call it a sibling product to that HTP. Before I get started, I just want to remind everybody that my newest book, Cats of War 2, is available on Amazon. It's exclusively there. You can get it in paperback, you can get it for Kindle, and if you have Kindle Unlimited, it's free to read. This is 4 brand new tales of military fantasy and military science fiction with a feline twist. I hope you'll give it a look. But for now, let's get back to Tortuga. The product begins with a short fiction piece. This is typical of Turning Points. What we've got is one of the final battles on Tortuga as the commander of the invading forces. So we'll get into the specifics, but his last name is Tripp, and here we see that even though a disaster is about to befall himself and his troops, he loves the combat so much. I'm kind of taking a page from George Patton. If you've seen the movie Patton, there's a moment when he says how much he loves battle. How he does love it so. And that is the sort of personality that I used to infuse Tripp for this product. Let's go ahead and move on in. In my special thanks, which I'm going to move down here and highlight, I note that all too often pirates in the BattleTech universe are given insufficient credit for the flavor they provide. Almost as often as they appear, they are wiped out by superior house forces. I wanted to deliver a product that showcases a victory for the pirates over those who would eradicate them. Thanks to Ben Rome for giving me free rein to do so. Usually when you hear about pirates in BattleTech, it's in relation to them being exterminated, or they're attempting a raid which fails, and all you see are the details of how they failed because they were tactically deficient in this way or that, or their equipment was too poor. So let's go ahead and talk about Tortuga. We've got our standard planetary map. For single world Turning Points products, there's always a planetary map. There's another larger size map at the end which takes this map and blows it up to 4 pages that you can print out, and it has a hex grid on it in greater detail that you can make out. Here we've got the standard background information on the planet to give flavor for anyone who wants to set a battle there, but not necessarily use the specific locations in this turning point. So we talk about how pirates came to run the joint, how for a brief period the Word of Blake had a hand in what was going on here. In this particular instance, once we get to, we've got our standard random assignment tables, and here we go. We're into what actually went down in this turning point. So because of the Word of Blake launching their jihad, it changed the balance of power. It certainly changed the political structure in the periphery area of the Federated Suns. The world Filtvelt got tired of all the pirate attacks and declared their independence, bringing a number of neighboring systems with them. Because the pirates kept coming, they finally decided, hey, we're tired of this. We're going to go to the pirates' home world, Tortuga, and we're going to deal with the pirates there so that we don't have to deal with them on our soil anymore. The reason I chose this particular time for this turning point is this is, as noted, one of the occasions in which the pirates were victorious over the house troops coming to get them. That's because this wasn't really house troops. It was a small breakaway periphery area nation whose military wasn't quite up to the challenge of dealing with these pirates on their territory. The inspiration from this came from, I believe, a line or two in Masters and Minions, the Star Corps dossiers, which only referred to this event as a great defeat for the Filtvelters. So here we talk about Buck Tripp. He's the commander of the Filtvelt forces. And we've got William Dearer, presenter of the Word of Blake. So he's in charge of the defense in this case. We talk about the various pirate bands. First of all, since they're the defenders, I covered them first. And it's not just the Tortuga Fusiliers who used to be here. A number of pirate bands have come and gone, so there's only a few at this time. And for the attackers, the Filtvelt, we've got the Thumpers, which are former mercenaries who became a house unit, essentially, for the new nation. And then we've got the Filtvelt Militia, which is, like most militias in BattleTech, under-equipped and under-skilled. So the reason that the punitive mission was sent to Tortuga is set up here on the first mission, in which Tortuga pirates raid one of the worlds of the Filtvelt Coalition in a daring daytime raid. They didn't even care about the defenders. They had contempt for them to such a degree that they attack in broad daylight and succeed quite well. And you can see that this is a 2-page battle, so I put a lot of special conditions with loot, the wall, turrets, and the warehouses. I really wanted to make this a major battle for the players and for the storyline. There is another one of these pirate raids for the second scenario. And if you see the note at the top that this particular pirate attack occurs simultaneously with this one. So here they're hitting the world of Sorjan, and here they're hitting the world of Olafberg. So these pirates are coordinated, they're very brazen, and it's because of all these raids and the success of these pirate raids that the punitive mission was approved, and that's what leads into the remainder of the product. So here we have the arrival of the Filtvelt troops on Tortuga, out in the periphery. And initially things seem to go well, as they land near one of the pirate bands, and they're able to attack the pirates who are at their base before everyone else shows up. So they also get to free some of the captives that the pirates had taken for sale, because they're pirates and they're despicable people. Even though in fiction we think of them as pretty cool, they're also pretty despicable. So after the initial success, they move up to the major city, the primary population center on Tortuga. And things start to go wrong for the attackers, for the Filtvelters. So now the militia has arrived, and they're dropping off their troops. And boy, then the counterattack shows up, and it is a nasty affair. There are chemical weapons. This was part of the initial inspiration that the reference I alluded to earlier mentioned the chemical weapons attack and how devastating it was. So here is where that takes place. And then Pursuit of Vengeance. Vengeance Incorporated is the lone military manufacturer of Tortuga. It's unusual in that it is a pirate manufacturing organization. So here we've got one of their primary mission goals is to destroy that manufacturing capability, but because it's not a single factory installation, it's a more complicated mission than the attackers had hoped. Here we move on, and one of the lances of the Thumpers is isolated, and they're trying to make it home. So kind of a chase scenario. Then we've got another attack, this time on the home of the planetary ruler, trying to send a message that it's not just your equipment we're after, we will also try to take out the leadership. Kind of a play on Jimmy Buffett here, where things are continuing to be a disaster. The previous mission really stirred up the pirate defenders, and boy, did they open up the proverbial can of whoop ass. And then eventually the invaders are driven off. One of the things that made this HTP somewhat individual among the series is I wanted to put a new variant of the Brigand, which is built by Vengeance Incorporated, on Tortuga. But I wanted more than just a single Brigand, because they are in the midst of trying to finalize a new version of the mech. I created a number of variants as prototypes, which were part of the mission earlier, trying to capture some of these prototypes. So I asked, and I got the approval for it, so I actually wrote a TRO page, which you see here, and then we've got the special record sheets. So Buck Tripp, I customized his awesome. Essentially, I just upgraded the engine so he could move faster. That's really all I did here. Had to make the gyro XL to make that work with the weight. Kept the standard 3 weapons. So this is based off of the Awesome 8Q, the old original Awesome. So here's one of the Brigands. Here's one of the prototypes. Another prototype. Third prototype. Fourth. And fifth. And I believe that's it. And then I think we're getting into the map. So I really tried to deliver. So we got 5 prototypes, plus the official one, plus Buck's unit. So 7 record sheets. Pretty good value for the money. If you want to check out this Turning Point, it's available at the Catalyst Games Lab internet store. And it's also available, I believe, on DriveThruRPG. I wanted to point out, if I can find it. I had so as I mentioned earlier, the reference to Patton. So in Patton, he talks about how he's going to stomp on the foot and then punch him in the nose. So I used that for the inspiration for these 2 scenario titles. And there's another somewhat... So repulsed by the pirates on Tortuga Prime. I believe it was from the novel The Courtship of Princess Leia for Star Wars, where Luke finds a holocron that has Yoda speaking of how the Jedi sent a mission to Dathomir, but how they were repulsed by the witches of Dathomir. So that's the inspiration for the title of the situation, the combat history of this Turning Point. And other than that, that was a fairly quick and easy HTP to write. I was really happy to do it. I enjoyed it. I think it was a great product. I'd like to write more pirate stuff. However, we're kind of in a flux as to what the Turning Points line is doing. There should be some new ones coming out soon, so look for those. But that's all I'm going to say for the moment. So for now, the Doctor is out.